Hi, Coach Kathleen here. Welcome to Mystic Monday. Right, on today's episode, we're going to be looking at just a little bit of the mysteries around heel striking and forefoot striking. Which one is it? Is it one? Is it the other? Is it both? Is it neither? Okay, so firstly, I want to say really what it's got to do with is where your foot lands relative to your center of mass. All right, so whether it comes down on the ground, forefoot first, heel first, is not really the issue. It doesn't come down on the ground far out in front of your center of mass, which is here by your belly button, or does it come down close to under your center of mass. Okay, because if you're landing out far in front of your center of mass, okay, you're doing what I call reaching, okay, to try and make your stride length long. You reach out. Then you have to work very hard against gravity to bring your center of mass up above your foot again, and then you can gain the momentum of moving forwards. Whereas if I'm bringing my foot down under my center of mass, okay, I get the advantage of gravity pulling me and that momentum taking me forward, which holds me around easier. You could see when I came down under my center of mass, I could almost struggle to stop myself moving forwards there. Now, that's a bit where the heel strike thing comes in, because you are naturally, when you're reaching out, you tend to automatically come down on your heel, because, I mean, just try it for yourself. Alright, it's very hard to actually put the front of the foot down, okay? The heel does automatically come down. But it's more to do with the fact that you're landing in front of your center of gravity. That's really actually where the problems come in. And you produce what they call that braking effect, and it is quite intense. You get a bit of that jarring happening as well. All right, but before we go into all sorts of theories, let's play with our bodies. All right, so I want you to feel a few things. Okay, so what I want you to first do is I want you to just stand up nice and tall. All right. And then keeping a nice line between ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. A nice straight line coming all the way down. Alright, I just want you to slightly lift the heels off the ground. Okay? Then keeping that shoulder, hip, knee, ankle in a straight line. I just want you to just slowly fall forwards. Alright. What you would have noticed is that I just automatically started running. Alright, my legs came through to stop me falling, and I just gained momentum. I wasn't putting in any effort there. Momentum from gravity just took me forwards. Alright, so that is the advantage you're gaining when you're landing underneath your center of mass. Now try this. I'm going to take 2 steps. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to lift slightly up, the heel slightly off the ground. And I'm going to take a big step forwards. Now you can see there's no momentum. I've actually come to a grinding halt. To make another step, it's going to be a massive effort to move forwards. Right. Try this. Alright, you're gonna lift the one foot up, the one leg up to 90 or slightly less, depending on your ability. Keep your toes nicely to your shin. Okay? And then I want you to think of moving this hip forwards. Alright, and I'm going to do that by squeezing this bum. Okay, you'll see I almost landed on the camera, created a nice forward movement. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to reach out with this leg. And I'm going to send this hip backwards and reach out. So I'm going to send this hip slightly backwards. Remember last time we went hip forwards, so I'm going to go hip backwards and reach out. Oh my gosh. Okay, you can feel that's very hard. Hip backwards and reaching out. And that tends to be how a lot of people run, because hips are very tight, quads are very tight, hamstrings and bums are very weak. So they're in this position, they struggle to get the foot down underneath the center of mass, because you can see if I'm nice and tall, I can bring my foot down underneath me easy. If I'm here, my foot wants to come hit the ground in front. And also they don't have the strength and the correct neuromuscular training to squeeze this hip forward from the bum and the hips, using all these muscles to drive. So you end up getting two types of runners. Not so much heel strikers, forefoot strikers. I would say you get more reachers and drivers. So some are trying to create stride length by reaching. Your amateurs are normally your beginners, and your elites are creating stride length by driving. You see, as soon as I think of this hip going forward, squeezing this bum to make this hip go forward, I came through. Alright, I wasn't even making any effort on this side. Okay, and then we also get what we call the sitters. Alright, so those that are sitting, you can't bring the foot down underneath you. You have to go skew to do it. So then you also find people running skew. Okay, so then I'm like running out here, as opposed to those who are running tall. You might have heard that cue from coaches, run tall. Running tall, they can bring their foot down under their center of gravity. So try that. Get tall, come up, come down underneath you. You just start falling forwards. Tall, come out, reach out, and then bring your foot down underneath you. And as you do that, think of pressing the ground down and back. So I'm going to come up, round, press the ground down and back. And I've just started moving forward. Now I'm going to reach out in front of me. Oh my gosh, I came to a grinding halt. Okay, so play around. Very important. I'm going to give you two drills, but in combination with these drills, you need to also develop good hip flexor flexibility. Alright, if you've got tight hip flexors, you're going to really struggle. Alright, so first drill is I want you to do what we call the pull back. So what you're doing with the pull back, you're going to stand up nice and tall, and the best way to get nice and tall is with your standing leg. Press it into the ground so that your hips lift up nice and high. Lift your leg up, toes to the shin, and then you're going to step out and under and up. Bringing the heel up into the bum. Out and under and up. Out and under and up. First nice and slow. Okay, making sure your foot comes down sort of in line with the ball, like the arch of your other foot. Okay, first do it slowly, and then you can have a slightly more active foot where you think of pushing the ground down and back, because then your body will move up and forwards. You can do it a little faster. Okay, whole time making sure you're not coming down over here, you're not coming down back there. You might want to put something here to make sure that you step over and come back underneath your body again. So if you've got something here that you know you mustn't stand on, that'll help you. There. Actually did a bad one, just the second last one. I could feel it. Alright, so develop a feel for when your foot is coming down underneath your body. Do that pull back exercise, alright? And then you can also do the wall drive exercise. With the wall drive exercise, what you're wanting to do is against the wall, you're going to go down. I'm just going to do it without a wall, because after you've done it with the wall, try and do it the way I'm doing it now. You're going to go down into a bit of a lunge, and then you're going to think of driving this hip towards the wall by squeezing this bum. So you're going to come up there. Alright, the wall would stop you in this position. But then you can actually do it just taking a step forward. So I'm here, squeezing, driving this hip forward, coming down. And you see I'm automatically coming down on the ball of my foot because I'm not kicking out. Okay, I'm working on driving. Drive. And squeeze the hip forward and drive. Okay, you can do it against the wall like this as well. There, and drive. There, and drive. Okay, the whole time thinking of driving the hip forwards. Okay, so work on that together with hip flexibility, hip strength, hip stability, glute activation, and also hamstring strength. All right, because you need good, strong hamstrings to be able to, when the leg is here, to do this movement of pulling the foot back down, of basically stopping the leg from just flying and then bringing it back down underneath your body. So hamstring strength, especially eccentric hamstring strength, hip stability, hip mobility, getting nice long hip flexors, and lots of glute activation, and then those drills, the pull back, coming down underneath your body, and the hip drive. All right, play around with those, play around with experiencing different landing positions relative to your center of mass and feel how that feels. Don't worry about what part of your foot touches the ground. You'll find that when you're landing on your center of gravity and driving from the hips and the glutes, you tend to automatically, the obvious way for your foot to come down is on the midfoot. Not midfoot, not tippy toes. And just a tip for that, always when you're doing your drills, make sure your toes are pointed towards your shins, because that helps you to come down in that position. Okay, if you're not tight, just relaxed towards your shins, not pointing down like a ballerina. You can't get power if you land on your tippy toes like that. All right, so play around. Yeah, let me know how you get on, and send me a message if you want some more tips around this. Okay, have an awesome day.